Alright, as you can see, what I've got for you today is Muldrotha, the Gravetide. Smack around the camera. Muldrotha is a deck I've had for a long time. She came out in, 2017 maybe? This version came out in 2018 from Dominaria, so got her in foil. Muldrotha started as Mirren, and then Mirren stopped working because I realized I needed the blue. The environment changed, the group had changed, the way to play. Decks have been upgraded. So I put blue in to Mirren, and I don't think I started with Muldrotha. I think I switched to another deck. I can't remember if there was a middle stage, and that didn't work. And then I switched to Muldrotha to give me the blue to protect my graveyard. The reason I'm looking at Muldrotha, I haven't looked at this deck for a long time. I haven't looked at this deck for months, haven't even taken it out of the box for months. Last time I did, I put in a Liliana Death's Majesty, small upgrade. The reason I'm talking about her today is, yesterday I saw this video by Pleasant Kenobi, where his thesis is stop upgrading your decks. Don't worry about maintaining your decks, enjoy the decks you have. If you want, the concept is to freeze them in amber. Just have them the way they are, play them the way they are, and if your group does pretty much the same thing, then you can get off the fear of missing out train. You can get off the, stop the arms race of constant upgrades, constant power creep, constant changes. And I like the idea. It exactly codifies what I've been thinking, what I try to do with my decks. I try to have my decks the same way for a long time in order to really enjoy them, really get to know them. Because I have, his example was up to 12 Commander decks. I've got 22 and 23rd in build phase. 20 are for Prague, 3 are for Muldrotha. One of the ones for Muldrotha and Reaper King, it's not really satisfying. I need to make some more changes to it. It doesn't quite feel right. The last one for Prague, Saskia, that's coming along pretty good. She's coming along nicely. The thing with her is the mana base. And what I think I'll do is, because I don't go to Muldrotha that often, I'll just use the Reaper King's mana base, the non-blue fetches, the non-blue shocklands, for Saskia. It makes sense. Why have yet another set of shocklands and fetches when an Muldrotha deck I only play it once a quarter, and a Prague deck I play once a week, depending on who I take, and I only take 3 at a time. And often when I take 3 decks, I end up only playing 2. Sometimes the game doesn't go well and I want to play the deck again. Sometimes the game just goes long and we only have time for 2 games. So anyway, what I'm doing is, even though I said you should freeze your decks in amber, you should, talking about Pleasant Kenobi's idea of upgrading your decks, of stopping the upgrades, I am thinking about putting this Urtai Resurrected into Muldrotha. And the funny thing about Pleasant Kenobi, we've actually corresponded very briefly, just exchanged a few messages on our relative comment section. He doesn't like me. He thinks I'm a racist because I play Invoke Prejudice in my Mono Blue Wizard deck. And he's fully on board with the reasons Wizards gave for declaring 7 cards racist or culturally insensitive. In my Sinful 7 video, I push back on that, and I say why I think that's bullshit, and why Wizards are just pandering to people that don't even play the game. And I continue to run Invoke Prejudice because, 1, it's a good card in a Mono Blue deck. It really works. 2, in the environment I play in, nobody that I play with has the cultural connection to even start to see it as a racist card. I play with Europeans. I play with no Americans play. No black guys play in my group. I can't remember the last. I don't think any black guys play in Cherny at all. A lot of Asians play, but it's just the way the country is. So I reject the Sinful 7. Invoke prejudice. Looking at Harold McNeil's other motifs, I can give you that one. If you have the cultural connections to it. If you don't have the cultural connections to it, and I've had this conversation with lots of my group, it's like, why is this banned? What's so bad about it? And you have to explain it. And you have to explain the cultural connections. And some of them kind of see it. Most of them like, that's bullshit. So anyway, I am thinking about putting this Urtai Resurrected into Muldrotha because, okay, he fits the colors. He helps protect my graveyard because one of the things about Muldrotha is I'm using the graveyard as a second hand. So I need to make sure nobody can Bajuka Bog me, Angel Finality me, Withered Wretch me, none of that. I need to make sure that doesn't happen, otherwise I get wrecked. So Urtai here, he's flashy. 2 black-blue for 3/2 Phyrexian Human Wizard. When he comes into play, counter target spell, activated ability, triggered ability is control driller's card. So somebody Bajuka Bogs me, if I flash in Urtai, I counter the ability. Or I can destroy a creature or planeswalker, and his controller does a card. So the question is there anything that I should take out? And I can't remember the last time I played Muldrotha. I really can't. So if I do this upgrade, or even if I don't, I should take her to the next match. This coming Thursday. Today is Sunday, November 3rd, Year of Our Lord. No, November 2nd. No, November 3rd. November 3rd, Year of Our Lord 2024. So that means that in 4 days, it'll be Thursday, and we'll have our Magic Pub Night. So let's take a look at some of the things. So our Armillary Sphere to go find lands, and of course Muldrotha. For those of you that are just listening, Muldrotha is a 3, 1 black, 1 blue, 1 green, 6/6 legendary elemental avatar. During each of my turns, I may play up to 1 permanent type of each permanent. Excuse me. I can basically cast 1 permanent card of each permanent type from my graveyard. It says play because I can put a land in play. I can put a land, artifact, planeswalker, creature, or enchantment from my graveyard into play, paying its normal casting cost, doing other timing restrictions, and only during my turn. So if Urtai is in my graveyard, I cannot flash him out of my graveyard to save me. So I'll have to keep that in mind. So that's Muldrotha. The idea is, and it's a combo deck. I'll share the combo when I come across it. So our Miller Sphere, I can go find basic lands. That's part of the ramp package. Nihil Spellbomb. Yeah, I was just complaining about people exiling my graveyard, right? Well, sometimes I need to deal with theirs. So I've got the Spellbomb. And with Muldrotha, it's cheap to get back out. Breathstealer's Crypt. I put this in to be funny. I put this in because it's an old card. Nobody plays it. I doubt really any of my audience has ever seen it. None of the lads I play with have probably ever seen it. So if I do play it, they're like, what the hell is that? What does that do? Holy shit, that sucks. So for 2 black-blue, you get an enchantment. Whenever anyone draws a card, they show it off. They show the card they drew. If it's a creature card, they pay 2 life or throw it away. So for me, graveyard being a second hand, I don't care if I throw it away. I don't care if I put it in the graveyard, because I can just get it back from Muldrotha. The other lads, it's a bit more of a problem. Void Slime. So part of the protection suite, counter target spell, activated ability or triggered ability. So this will counter a Bajuka Bog. Kukusho, the Evening Star. Yeah, Kukusho dies, I gain a bunch of life. My opponents lose a bunch of life. Happy times. Wonder, I don't care if I throw away Wonder, because if I have an island, then my creatures fly. Okay, that's part of the combo. Let's put him over there. Okay, there's a fetch land. Intuition. So this is on the reserved list. I like the art. I've always liked the art. I've always liked the concept of intuition. So I go find any 3 cards I feel like, reveal them to target opponent, and here, so if you play something like this, a lot of guys are going to start trying to poke their nose in it and trying to tell the person that you chose what to know. Target opponent chooses 1, and you put that card in your hand and the rest in your graveyard in the shuffle. So if I decide to choose the guy with the least experience, or the guy that I've made a deal with, more likely, the guy I've made a deal with, so we're kind of helping each other out, and the other lads realize that he made a deal with this guy, and he's going to help him out by giving him something he wants, then they could stick their nose out of it and mind their own business and let the spell resolve. Seedborn Muse. According to the genie, this is not a casual card. This is CEDH level card. Obviously the genie does not play CEDH. He just doesn't like it when I'm untapping all my stuff with everybody else. Grave Troll. Bit of Dredge. Big creature. Yeah. Land. I chose the Ixalan lands from Muldrotha. I should have chose Dominaria because she is from Dominaria, but I had these foil Ixalan lands and I just wanted to employ them somewhere, and they kind of fit. I could see that on Dominaria somewhere. Jared, part of the combo. Burgeoning. Whenever an opponent plays a land, put a land card from your hand on the battlefield. I need to rethink this. I haven't looked into the deck for a while, like I said, so I need to... If I've got a Thawing Glaciers, and that's why this is in here, but I don't know if I have a Thawing Glaciers. So that's an idea. Spore Frog. Sack Spore Frog and Fog. No damage. No damage in combat this turn. And then, on my turn, cast it back out of my graveyard, so I've got a ready Fog again, making it really hard to deal damage to me. Blue to Delta. Enemy dead. Yep, so I can get at anybody's creature, or I can cast this if I have, let's say I've got 2 creatures I want to play, and I've got this in my graveyard too. So I could cast one of the creatures, and then cast the enemy dead, and get the other creature, and keep going, because an enchantment is a permanent type. Butcher Malakir, basically a Dictator of Erebos, Grave Pact effect on wings. Probably a good thing to hit with the Animate Dead because it costs so damn much. Watery Grave, another forest, island. That's really beautiful, isn't it? I love the art in Magic. I really do. I collect a lot of the cards to the art. I think I made that clear with my Mocall video, where I show pretty jank that I bought, and I just got it for the art. Lotus Cobra, part of a combo. Let's throw that over there. Birthing Pod. Something I never realized, and I should have, but I never thought about it because it never came up. I never put in a deck where we would really do that, is the fact that after you activate Birthing Pod and you sacrifice a creature and go find a bigger creature, if you can untap the Birthing Pod, you can do it again. I mean, that's incredibly obvious. And I understand that's one of the reasons why it was banned. In fact, that's how I got onto the idea. But in the 2 decks I have with Birthing Pod, I don't have anything to untap artifacts on my turn. So it just was never a consideration, so it's something I never thought of. Maybe I should. Heaven Gulich. Okay, if I've cast all the creatures I can on Muldrotha, I've used up her creature slots, well, he can keep going. And it's from any graveyard, so I can cast a creature card from any graveyard. And he gains all the activated abilities. I've not used that much. I've not used that much because a lot of the times there aren't creatures with activated abilities I want to pull out. I want to pull out something big to protect me, or something big to beat somebody with, or something with an interesting comes into play trigger. So this is another card, another reason to play Muldrotha more, because I've not really explored all of his uses. I've not really employed him to the best of his abilities. Triumph. Land. Solemn Simulacrum. So with him, if he's in the graveyard of the Muldrotha, he can either be the artifact or the creature that I cast on my turn. Here we go. Here's part of the protection. Siren Storm Tamer. So this dude sits around, just flies in the air above me, and anytime if I've got the blue and I need to remember to keep the blue up, sacrifice him and counter target spell or ability that targets me or creature I control. Now, he doesn't counter it says ability, so would that be a triggered ability too? I think that would work on, and I know the answer. I'm kind of tired now. I'm still drinking my coffee, making this video kind of early in the day. So this works against Pajuka Bog, but right now my brain isn't firing on all cylinders, so I can't properly explain it. Counter an ability. I think what they did is they just shortened it. So it should say counter target spell, activated ability, triggered ability, but it just says ability. So I think they're just they were already cutting down the verbiage on the cards. Alright, Urborg, Tomb of Yawgmoth, yay! Phyrexian Tower. Sack creature, add 2 black. So, Solemn Simulacrum. I can draw a card pretty easy with this. Ghost Quarter. I can sack it, destroy target land. The controller can go find a basic land. And Muldrotha, I can get it back. I could replace this with a Wasteland. In a way, Wasteland is less onerous because it only hits non-basics, but its controller doesn't get anything. Ghost Quarter, it can hit any land, but its controller can replace it. I'm not really sure which is more of a dick move, to be honest, Ghost Quarter or Wasteland. And it's not like I use it. I have it here just in case. Just in case there's a land, but the other lads, they don't really play that many special lands. They don't love lands the way I do. None of them run Urborg or Cabal Coffers, let alone a Volrath Stronghold or Yevmai Hollow, or God forbid none of them. I tell them, with the prices these cards are at, you should get a Volrath Stronghold for this deck that you have. It's going to be really good. You should get a Yevmai Hollow for that deck you have. It's going to be really good. And they just don't. And this goes back to, if I have 50 euros to spend on Magic, a lot of times I'll get some weird reserve. It's kind of slowed down because I've got enough Volrath Strongholds, enough Yevmai Hollows to go around. A lot of the reserve list cards I would want now are ones in the 80 and up euro range. Like I would like to get another Academy Rector. I would love to get an Academy Rector for Reaper King to go find Conspiracy. So if I've got 50 euros, typically I'll buy some interesting reserve list cards. The other lads, they'll buy a precon. They will buy a full deck because that's what they like to do. Just a different philosophy when it comes to card acquisition and purchasing. Yorick, this is a card I haven't had out. And my battery's going to die. Yay, battery. Alright, let's get back to freezing Muldrotha after I make a change. So I was on Yorick the Desecrated. Yorick is a card that I put in years ago. When did she come out? 2019. So she's been in the deck for at least 2 years. At least. Probably 3. I've never had her in play. I don't know really how well she works the deck. Because I don't have that many things that would trigger her. So 2 black, blue, green, I get a 3/5 Death Touch, Lifelink, Elemental War. If a permanent entering the battlefield causes a triggered ability of permanent I control to trigger, it triggers an additional time. So, actually, she works really well with Urtai, doesn't she? So, he would come into play, into the battlefield. It'd be a permanent with a triggered ability. It would trigger an additional time. And the way I interpret it is that this ability would trigger to choose one. So, because he doesn't counter a spell or destroys a planeswalker when he comes into play, first you choose. So if I play Urtai with Yurek out, if I'm countering something, I should be able to counter it, and then the choice should trigger again, and I can destroy a creature or planeswalker and have its controller draw a card. That's the way I interpret it. Let me know if I'm wrong. But otherwise, I don't have a lot. Well, as I keep moving the camera, I mean, I did put him aside, Lotus Cobra, to explain the combo better. So when a land comes into play, if they're both in play, then I would get a second mana, wouldn't I? I would get 2. Because he would trigger. He would trigger. Okay, wow. See, this is what happens when you have too many decks and you don't play them that often. There are interactions. There are things that might happen, but maybe not as often as you think they will. Or there's things that you haven't fully considered because you just don't play it that much. And maybe you executed some rapid changes to your deck. You've got a couple cards that don't work, so you just take them out, throw some other cards in, without fully thinking them through, without looking at the deck holistically, in total. And I did look at Muldrotha holistically when I included Yurek, but that's been a while. It's been a few years since she went in, and I've not played her much, because she is pretty impressive. She does have a capability of running away with the game. Now, with the Blads having better decks, with the precons being better, I think Muldrotha is not as powerful in comparison as she used to be. So I think it's time to give her another try. See how she works. Timeless Wit. So I was just talking about, I probably don't have that many things that would trigger Timeless Witness. I mean, shit. So she comes into play, if Yurek's out, and I go get 2 cards. River Kelpie. Whenever he or another permanent is put in play from graveyard, draw a card. Okay, so it wouldn't trigger coming into play. It doesn't trigger Yurek. I would like to get a foil one, but they're still expensive, quite expensive, I think. So whenever it comes into play, or another permanent from a graveyard, draw a card. So with Muldrotha, if I'm casting things in the graveyard, I will get a lot of cards with this bastard. Wayward Swordtooth. I don't have exploration. This guy's my exploration. So until I have the City's Blessing, he can't attack a block, but I can play an additional land each of my turns. Well, Muldrotha, having a lot of fetch, 3 fetch lands, and then some dredge and some self-mill, I should be able to put lands in my graveyard and then play 2 lands a turn, either from my hand or from the graveyard. So the interaction. So she says I may play up to 1 permanent type from my graveyard. He says I can play an additional land. So if I play a land out of my graveyard, I cannot play a second with his ability, trying to link it to Muldrotha, because she says you only get 1. Choose carefully. World Shaper, part of the combo, I'll explain in a minute. Ghost Form. Who is it? Tamushko. So Tamushko he has a Muldrotha deck too, but Tomushko plays. I haven't seen him for months. He randomly comes out about once every 6 months and plays, and because he doesn't get time to play, because he forgets what the card. I mean, you listen to me and you know I forget what my cards do all the damn time, and I play once a week typically. So he's got a Muldrotha deck that mills everybody. Well, people don't like getting milled. Yishi, he always said, well, what's wrong with mill? You're seeing fresh cards. And you probably wouldn't have gotten those cards anyway. So what's the problem? It's just there's something about it. There's something about it a lot of people don't like. Unless they're playing a deck that takes advantage of it. So Tomushko, with his Muldrotha, people attack him a lot. Because he's got a lot of dirty things. Even dirtier than I do. And he's making everybody throw cards in their graveyard. And if they don't have a way to get them back, they're just watching their library thin down, and all these wonderful cards that they could use go out of reach. Which is why I put so much recursion in my deck. All my decks. That's something I always think about when I'm deck building. How am I going to get things back? And sometimes I don't have that many ways. That's one of the problems I have playing Frodo and Sam, my Lord of the Rings precon, is I don't have that many ways of getting things back. I did get a Marshall's Anthem that I want to put in there. Of course, I need to take something out. So that would be some recursion. But Muldrotha is all about recursion. So anyway, he was playing Kay's Ghost Form, and I read it, and I didn't know about it, and I thought, oh shit, that's cool. That's absolutely cool, Muldrotha. So for 1 black, enchant creature or planeswalker control. When it dies or goes into exile, put it back on the battlefield under your control. So if I enchant Muldrotha with Kai's Ghost Form, and somebody kills her, I get Muldrotha back, and then on my turn I can re-enchant her with Kai's Ghost Form, unless they found a way to exile it. So it's really good in this deck. In fact, maybe I should put one in Karavik. Obnixilus, that's part of a combo. Death's Majesty. This is the newest edition of the deck. This is something I put in 4 months ago. And I still haven't played the deck since then. So I put her in because she fits the theme of the deck. Return target creature to graveyard to the battlefield. It's a black zombie. It doesn't matter how big the creature is. That's what astounds me. And you just keep it. It doesn't become a 1/1. It doesn't have decayed. You just get the creature back. And wow, that's pretty fucking cool. Or I can make a black zombie, put the top 2 cards from my library into my graveyard. So self-mill. And Muldrotha. Survival of the Fittest. Okay. This card is a lot more expensive now than it was when I bought it 10 years ago. A lot more. And it's really good in this deck. Choose and throw a creature card, go find a creature card, show it to everybody, put it in your hand, and then shuffle up. I could run Fauna Shaman, but I've got this, and I want to play it. I want to play my old cards. And that's the other thing about freezing my decks in Amber, is I already have a lot of these old cards. My decks are pretty well tuned. Hang on, let me take a sip of coffee. Yes, I'm just about done.
Yes, it's 11:30.
I know what time it is.
Good, good.
I can read a clock.
Yes, good. Let me check up on
Direction Metamorph. So this can be the creature or artifact I cast. Comes into play, copies an artifact creature, saves an artifact. Okay, I lied. Liliana Death's Majesty is not the newest edition. This is the newest edition. So I was, a few months ago, I was ordering from Magic Card Market, and looking at the other cards this guy had, and he had this. He had Cruel Somnophage. I'm looking at it, I thought, wow, Power toughness equal number of creature cards in all graveyards. Ooh, that's going to be huge. Target player mills 4 cards. Ooh, that could be good. So I mill myself, and then I cast him, and he should be pretty beefy. He doesn't have any evasion. He doesn't have death touch, flying, nothing, but still. So I still haven't found something to take out for Urtai Resurrected. In fact, I kind of forgot about it. Alchemist Refuge, Acidic Slime, Alchemist Refuge. Green, blue, you can play, cast non-land cards this turn, so they had flash. Muldrotha still says you can only cast the things out of the graveyard on your turn, so that doesn't work together. Acidic Slime. I've got a deck on Arena, land destruction deck. It uses 4 copies of Acidic Slime, and the goal is to cast an Acidic Slime. If I get the right curve, if I do turn 1 Llanowar Elves, turn 2 Cultivate, turn 3 I can cast Acidic Slime, destroy a land, and then it's got a bunch of clone effects. So turn 4, cast a clone the Acidic, destroy another land. And it's pretty funny, because it doesn't always work, but when it does, my opponents are not expecting it. And most of the time, once I've destroyed 3 or 4 lands, they just concede. They're like, okay, fuck this, fuck you, fuck your land destruction, I'm out. Stifle. Counter target activated triggered ability. So yeah, triggered ability. Counters Pajika Bog. So keeping this in because it only costs 1 blue, Urtai costs 4. So that won't come out for him. And I want more protection. I don't want to weaken or make a 1-for-1 change in my protection suite. High market, sack creature, prevent it from being swords or plowshared, gain a life. There's the rainforest. There's the misty snake. Maybe that's the change I should make. Because he will be easier to cast most of the time. This only counters a spell. He counters a spell and other stuff, so that could be the change I make. Let's set those over there. You have my hollow. Spend tap. Spend a green, tap, regenerate creature. Underground river. Black blue Painland. Island. Swamp. Noxious Gearhulk. When it comes to play, you may destroy another target creature. If you do, gain life equal to toughness. Well, why the hell would I play unless I'm going to kill something? Trick Bind. Count target activated triggered ability. Same thing. Same thing as Stifle. It just has split second. And I have, what, 6 of these effects? I have 6 of these effects because I want to make damn sure that if my graveyard is tasty, my graveyard has like 20 cards or more, which happens pretty quickly. I don't want them going away. I don't want them getting bogged out. I don't want somebody to cast an Angel of Finality and nerf my second hand. Memory Plunder. You can play an instant or sorcery card and opponent's graveyard. It's an instant, so if you cast it as an instant, if you target a sorcery, you get to play it as an instant. It just has to be an opponent's graveyard. The neat thing about it is it doesn't exile that card. These days, almost all these effects say exile that card, right? Not this. Land. 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 Land ho. Land. Reclamation Sage comes to play. Destroy target artifact or enchantment. So, go to the Uruk. I could destroy 2 artifacts or enchantments. Archmage. Counter target non-creature spell. And he's persistent. Reflecting Pool. Chromatic Lantern. Yeah, 3-color deck. Makes sense. What else comes into play? Go find a forest card, put it in the battlefield, and then shuffle. So I can find that Triumph, I can find that fashion part of the combo. Vampire Hexmage, Planeswalker Killer. Sack Vampire Paint Hexmage, destroy target Planeswalker. Overgrown Tomb. Excuse me. Gravebreaker Limia. 5, 4 and a black for a 4/4 life-linking snake. When she comes into play, go find a card, put it in your graveyard, and then shuffle your library. Spells you cast from your graveyard cost 1 less to cast. Sounds pretty good with Muldrotha, doesn't she? Puppeteer Click comes into play. Put target creature card in opponent's graveyard and play under your control. It has haste. At the end of your turn, exile it. And he's persistent. They are persistent. It is persistent. It just keeps coming. Deathrite Shaman. So this is a way of controlling my opponent's graveyards. Exile land, yeah. Exile an instant or sorcery card from graveyard. Each opponent loses 2. Green, tap, exile creature card. You gain 2 life. Expedition Map. 2, tap, sacrifice Expedition Map. Go find some bullshit land that you need, put in your hand, and then shuffle up. Dawn Treader Elk. If you notice, this deck doesn't have Kodama's Reach, doesn't have Cultivate, doesn't have Sky Sherbet, none of that. Because Muldrotha, I'm playing cards out of the graveyard, so the ramp suite are creatures I can sacrifice to go get lands. Creatures I can sacrifice to speed up my mana production. And then cast them again, and sacrifice them, and speed up my mana production. Disallow. Again, it's basically Void Slime. It's Void Slime where instead of a green, it's one colorless. Command Tower. Brick Pool. Pernicious Deed. Sacrifice the deed. Do the deed. Destroy a bunch of things. Ancient Tomb. So in this deck, just for the art just to be different than my other decks, I took the is this Ultimate Masters? I think this is Ultimate Masters. Maybe you turn one of the Master sets. So the so the Ancient Tomb, the Archmage, and there's a couple of the cards that I chose this set from, just to kind of have some kind of unity across them, just to kind of have different art. In the, I'm trying to put it into words, just to have the same feel. Fuck it, I'm tired of trying to explain it. Swamp. Seal of Primordium. Sack it. Destroy an artifact or enchantment. Recast of Muldrotha. Yeah, that's the theme. Life from the Loam. This is here for the dredge. This is here to dredge some cards into the graveyard. So I can cast them with Muldrotha, so I can build up my second hand. I don't know if I need it. I don't know if I really want this. I can also find lands. I can pull lands out, so that is something. I'll set it to the side. Helm of Possession. So I can sacrifice creature, snatch somebody else's creatures as long as this remains tapped, and then the creature sacrificed, I can recast from my graveyard. Tower of the Magistrate. Oh, this is so fun. And this is not an expensive card. In foil it is, but flat, not expensive. You should get one. You should get one and play it because it's so funny. It's so randomly funny. You know, somebody slaps 20,000 swords on a creature. I attack you with this 9 million double strike. First strike protection, blue, green, red, orange, purple. What are you going to do about it? I'll give the creature protection for artifacts, and it drops all the swords. What is it now? It's a 1/1. Okay, I block it. I kill it. Fuck. Entomb. Go find a card in your library, throw it in your graveyard, and then shuffle. Instantly. You have my coast. Here's the Kamal Coffers. Executioner comes to play. Everybody sacrifices a creature. I can recast him, and everybody sacrifices a creature. Wrist Sweeper. Okay, I'm not always going to have my shield up. I'm not always going to be able to protect my graveyard. Sometimes somebody could exile something that I really need, that is part of a combo, that is part of the death package to win the game. So he's in here to get it into my graveyard. Oh no, it shuffles in my library. So he's here to shuffle it into my library. Pull from Eternity, that's the one that puts it in your graveyard. So Pull from Eternity is 1 white. I believe it's an instant. It's arcane from the Kamigawa block. So target face, I believe it specifies target card face up in exile you put into its owner's graveyard. I think that's the way it works. So he puts in my library. Not ideal, but because he's a creature, I can get him killed, resurrect him, do it again. There's the Soul Ring. That's the other card I was thinking about. So I've got Eternal Witness and Timeless Witness. So I've got good recursion package in Muldrotha. Maybe I should take one of them out for Urtai, so that way I can keep the Mystic Snake, keep the counter spell. That's probably the better idea. Damnation. Kill all the creatures. They can't bury all creatures. I would like them to bring back the keyword bury. Bury used to mean exactly this. Destroy it, it can't be regenerated. So Damnation should say bury all creatures. Full stop. Yeah, I keep banging on about how I don't want to get Bajuka bogged, and Muldrotha has one. Yeah. Island. There it is, Volra's Stronghold. Oh, you're going to exile that creature from a graveyard? Yeah, I'll just throw it back on top of my library. And then I'll mill it out, or dredge it out, or just draw it and cast it again. Combo. Secretary Builder. Sack it, go find a land. Put in play tap, shuffle your library. So, okay, let's look at the combo. So the combo, one of the combos is the basic. Let's just do this for the thumbnail. Let's get all these. Nice group photo. All that glare. Can I reduce the glare by, nope. It's a nice sunny day. There we go. How about that? Nobody wants to look at my fingernails. Alright, so basic combo. Jared Gogari gets Lich Lord. He gets +1/+1 each creature. Lord of Extinction. So his power toughness equals the number of cards in all graveyards. So he'll be big. 1 black green, sack another creature. Each opponent loses life equal to its power. So if he's like a 50-50, and I sacrifice him with Jared, each of my opponents loses 50 life. I mean, it's pretty basic. There's one of the combos right there. The more convoluted combo, the funnier one, is this one. Yes, it's kind of a 5-card combo. Although these two, Pestilence and Omnixos, are interchangeable. So what do? I have a bunch of lands. I tap all the lands for mana. I float the mana. I gain a bunch of life. I have World Shaper, and I kill him somehow. So he dies. All the land cards I sacrificed come from the graveyard onto the battlefield under my control, tapped. I need Lotus Cobra. When those lands come into play, I get a bunch of mana of any color I want. I choose black, and then I just start pestilencing until my opponents are dead. Of course, I have to be at a higher life total than my opponents for this to work. But if I've sacrificed all those lands, let's say I've sacrificed 10 lands, and I gain 20 life with the Zorn Orb. So I should be 20 above everybody else. And then Pestilence those 10 lands come back into play, plus whatever mana I floated. And if I can trigger this 15 times, well, that's 15 damage to all my opponents, 15 damage to all creatures, except the one's protection from black or indestructible or, whatever. But if it's enough, if I've, say, triggered Cabal Coffers and with an Urborg Tomb of Yawgmoth out, I might be able to kill the table with it. Or Ob Nixilis is out, so when those lands come into play under my control, when the World Shaper dies, and those lands come back, he will get counters. So every land that can, if it's 10 lands, that's 30 counters, 30 plus and plus counters I get to drop on him. And if he's ready to attack, so he would be a 33/33. And I get to do 30 loss, 10 different instances of lose 3 life. So whoever has a higher life total, whoever's more of a threat, I can make them lose life with Ob Nixilis, and then whoever's left standing, I can attack with him. And if he's a 33/33, and I've Pestilence and killed all the other creatures, they've got nothing to block with. So that's the combo. That's the thing with Muldrotha. And I think I answered my question. So I'll leave the Eternal Witness in because he is more mana efficient. And I'll take out the Timeless Witness for Urtai. Because I don't... The Witness is mainly to get back the very, very few spells I have. I used to have Archaeomancer in this deck. I took out Archaeomancer because who needed it? Azami needed it more because she's mono wizards, mono blue. So, Muldrotha being green, I gave her Timeless Witness. Well, if she's in here, mainly to get back Stifle, Trickbind, Void Slime, and I still have the Eternal Witness that can do that, then replacing Timeless Witness with him is fairly logical, because he gets past the whole thing of returning it, the spell to my battlefield, returning the spell to the battlefield, and he acts as the spell. He can come into play, counter-target spell, activate ability, triggered ability. Of course, I need a way to get him back in my hand. If he dies, because I want him in my hand rather than the graveyard. Do I have anything that bounces? I probably do. I have something that bounces something back to my hand. Maybe I don't. I mean, that doesn't work because he just comes into play. Huh. Well, I do have Volra's Stronghold, so if he's dead, I can just Volra's Stronghold, put him back on top of the library, draw him. Yeah, that's, is that a weakness of the deck? Is that something I need to consider showing up? I don't know. Let me know what you think.